Oscar Wyatt, I really appreciate you you taking this time to talk with us and to share with us your memories. What do you remember, just to get started, what do you remember about Pearl Harbor, about the attack on Pearl Harbor?
Well, that was before I was in the Navy.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was before my time.
yeah,
I was uh, I was about 15 years old when let's see, in 1941. That's when it happened, right?
yeah,
I was born in 26. I was 15, I guess.
yeah. Do
I
you
was in a
remember?
cafe. We was in a cafe in Savannah, Arkansas, and all said to hell, and we'll never have to go. So
Yeah,
they started singing that old song, a year and a day or whatever it was they used to sing back in World War One.
yeah,
Yeah, they figured out as long as it's going to happen, we didn't have to go. But that wasn't what happened. We did have to go.
yeah. You did have to go. Just when
Yeah,
you do you remember how you heard about the attack on Pearl Harbor? Was it the radio, or did somebody tell you?
I still didn't understand you.
Do you remember how you heard about Pearl Harbor? Was it the radio, or did somebody
Pearl
tell
Harbor.
you? Yeah,
Yeah, it was over the radio. We was in a cafe in Savannah, Arkansas, shooting pool. They
yeah.
had a pool room in the back, and we were back there shooting pool, and it came over the radio that Japan had bombed Pearl Harbor.
Wow. Do you remember hearing President Roosevelt's speech the next day?
Well, no, I really don't.
You don't remember that? Yeah.
No. Back then, we was too poor to have a radio. We didn't have a radio. I had to be somewhere else if I heard a radio.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, our family didn't have the money to spend on a radio or something like that.
Yeah. Was the I'll just ask a couple more questions and then we'll get to your own time in the Navy, but did your family have a hard time during the Great Depression?
Well, no, not really. We lost our farm in 1934, which was pretty much about the middle of it. Wasn't any money.
Right.
We had a 40-acre farm. We lost it and rented a farm from U.S. government. They'd purchased a lot of the land on Mount Magazine, and we rented the farm for them for $15 a year.
Wow,
And
$15
that,
a year.
yeah,
Good grief.
but you didn't. No, I only made. I used to work from sun to sun and got an hour off at lunch. Grown men too only made $1 a day. See,
Yeah,
so when
yeah,
they started drafting us, we started going into service, this, that, and the other. Which I went
yeah.
in as soon as I was 18. I didn't never get drafted. I volunteered because I wanted to choose which branch of service I wanted. See,
Okay. So now did you
we
did you
got a raise. See, started getting $52 a month when I got in service. But
50?
I gave, I forget whether the government furnished $28 or $22. One of us did, and the other one, they got $50, and
Yeah.
I got 28 or 22. I forget which it was.
Wow. Now did you
My
finish
family got $50. See,
did you finish high school before you went into the Navy?
no, I thought I was smart. I quit when I was halfway through the ninth grade, and
Really?
went to work for a guy. He worked for the highway department, and that was long about the time that FHA started loaning money for them to buy a team of horses,
Yeah.
and farm and what have you. And he bought that team of horses and hired me for $15 a month, room and board. And I made the crop for him. That's when they just started planting the peanuts, used the oil, in the munitions in the war.
Yeah.
And he made Young Farmer of the Year that year.
So you
And
you
I did all the work, though. I did all the plowing and all that.
so
He
you
still worked on the highway department.
wow. So you stopped school halfway through the ninth grade and then you went to work.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you turned 18, you decided you were going to enlist in the Navy.
Well, I did a lot of other things before I got 18.
What did you
I
do?
was, uh, I was kind of a tall boy, and They was mining bauxite here in Bauxite, Arkansas. And the people that used to be foreman on the railroad crew, they put them down there building railroad tracks around these dumps where they mine that ore.
Right. Yeah.
You know, when they'd run them trucks up there and make a big long dump out of it, and then they'd build a spur from the railroad out there and load them cars and go to the aluminum factory and make aluminum out of it.
Yeah.
I worked down there until I got scared. One of the foremen used to be his boy and I used to be big buddies till we got up a little bit older. Anyhow, he would run. They come send the foreman come down to form of the car one night. Went down there and they said, "Well, we're gonna have to figure out when you be 18 years old. I mean 21, and you're supposed to be 21 years old. Work on the railroad."
Oh.
Well, I said, "Well, what you ought to know, I'm the same age as Bobby, you know." Well, we better figure it out. And had figured out when I'd be 21, you know, and I kept working. And every so often they'd give us a pass to ride the caboose up to Havana, see, for a weekend.
Yeah.
And I got up there and got talking to some of my old buddies, and they was going to a machinist school in Fort Smith. That was the project that LBJ started when he first went to Washington. That youth organization.
Yeah.
NYA.
Yeah.
Called the NYA, you know.
Right.
Anyhow, they taught you sheet metal or welding or machinist. Well, I like to make things with my hand, and I took the machinist trade.
Yeah.
They got us ready to go, and they gave us a choice of Hartford, Connecticut. I forget. San Francisco, Hartford, Connecticut, Wichita, Kansas, I believe. Yeah, that was the three choices we had. They had us a job. We had to have $35 to eat off of till we got a payday. I didn't want to go to them places. My oldest brother had been in the oil field all his life, ever since he graduated from high school.
Yeah.
And so he is in Houston, Texas. So I told old supervisor I had to come home for a short time, help my dad complete breaking a pair of mules, you know, which I lied to him. I shouldn't have. He's a good man. Anyhow, I wrote my brother and told him if he'd send me $20 so I'd get a bus fare to Houston, you know.
Wow.
But I'd come down there and go to work.
Wow.
About 2 days later, I got it, and I hitchhiked back to Fort Smith.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
your old supervisor, what I did, and he said, "Well," said, "they done eat supper, but said they probably still some scraps up there. Go see if you can get you a little food to eat, find you a bunk, and in the morning come by the office." And I did all that. And he gave me an envelope. He said, "This will help you get a job when you get to Texas."
Wow.
He had worked on the railroad himself, this supervisor in the machine shop.
Yeah.
I was working. I was using that shovel up there one day, and he said, "That guy right there has worked on the railroad, I'll bet you." Sure enough, he had me pinned.
So you're doing all of this before you go in the Navy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I worked about 2 years down there in Houston. And,
in Houston. Now, when
oil field repair shop, really what it was, but they're the part we made for the war effort was a winch bed where they bolted it onto these Liberty ships, you know, and it had a big boom went out on the dock and got that stuff and loaded it. That's the way they loaded them ships to that.
Yeah.
And I drilled all them holes and everything in that base.
Yeah. So before you actually went into the Navy, you felt like you were contributing to the war effort in your work.
Oh yeah, yeah. I worked there 2 years there.
Yeah.
Hunt Tool Company.
Now, so people who lived through that time, this is the last question, and then about before the Navy, and then we'll talk about your time in the Navy. People who lived through that time say that at that time, everybody in the country was united. Everybody in the country was contributing to the war effort in one way or another.
If they could, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that
Right.
your memory? Yeah.
Yeah, they were, if they could. Everybody was leaving the country, you know, going into the big cities and whatever. A lot of people went from here, from Havana up there to California.
So so people are going into the cities to work in factories for the war effort.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So now you enlisted when you were 18. Why did you choose the Navy? Why not the Army? Why not the Marine Corps?
Well, that's kind of a little story. It might be a little long. If you got a lot of time, it won't be all that long. Anyhow, I got lonesome for the hills. Oh, I don't know. It was 2 months or so before I was 18, you know. And I talked them into letting me come home for a week. Got up here and I'd had a young horse when I left, you know, and he was pretty mean. He thought he was a stallion, and my dad couldn't handle him. I left him at my buddy's house, let him keep him, see, and ride him and what have you. So I went over there to get him, and it started raining, and they had a wagon road that went down the south side of Mount Magazine, and I rode him down that wagon road, you know, till the back of our pasture. And I started down there, and all at once he come unglued, boy, and he took off, got them bits between his teeth, and he took off the mountain. I drugged me off under some limbs and trees. Finally, I got him stopped. I slapped him around on the ear and pick at him a little bit, you know, and got him settled down, got back on him, rolled back down, got nearly to where he started again. I just got off of him. And about that time, here come a soldier up out of Foxhole.
Oh.
They had that foxhole dug across that old wagon road, see. Rainy and muddy, and they was going to have to sleep in it all that night now. They'll maneuver down there from Fort Chaffee. They used to come down there, that magazine mountain, and maneuver, all that. So I got to talking to them, you know, around what have you. And I told them, well, guys, I'm going to tell you one thing. I said, when I got to go, I'm gonna choose the Navy. I said, if the old ships are floating, I'll have a good bed and good food. And if they ain't floating, I won't need either one. They said, well, I will sure wish we could have talked to you before we come in the Army, because that's where we'd be. That's what decided me right there.
Yeah. So you just happened to come across these Army guys training, and they were in the mud, and you decided that's not for me. I'm going to do the Navy.
That's right. I didn't want to sleep in that mud and water all night. So
do you remember what year it was you went into the Navy?
Oh, yeah. May 44.
May of 44.
May of 44. Yeah.
And so is it the USS Presley you served on?
Right.
USS Presley. What kind of ship was that?
As a destroyer escort.
Okay.
Escorting supplies.
Escort.
We were in an escort division. There's 14 ships in it. They had 10 DEs, which is what I was on, you know. DE is a destroyer escort. Yeah. They're not a very big ship. 35-foot beam, 115 feet long. War company crews about 215 men or something like that. That's officers and enlisted men too.
Yeah. So
then we had 10 of those. We had 4 destroyers, which is quite a little bit bigger than we were. Okay. We only had 5-inch guns. See, that was the biggest gun we had. So at times we need a little bit bigger, more firepower, and the destroyers had it. So that's why we had.
So your job was
we were the flagship of that little old division. We had a Commodore aboard. He bossed the old skipper around where to go and when to come back. But skipper wouldn't let him boss us, the men.
So the job of the ship was, I'm sorry.
He came up through the academy, but he had been busted several times. He's kind of wild.
This is the skipper?
Lieutenant commander.
Yeah.
When commanding that little old ship that I was on.
Yeah. So the job of this ship was to provide security for supplies moving across the Pacific?
Right. We kept the Japs off of the supplies.
Yeah.
First ship, the first convoy we escorted. Oh, we'd escorted 4 or 5 ships or something, you know. Like when we went overseas, we left from San Diego and going to Honolulu. We escorted 5 ships, you know, there, like that. But
Yeah.
the really big one, the biggest one was 60 ships, and it was they had nearly a full army going to
The Philippines, maybe?
going to France to relieve the D-Day boys, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right before that convoy got there, Germany surrendered.
Oh,
They didn't even let them stop. They headed them to the Pacific, right? And we was waiting there in New Caledonia, and that's where we got with that. Well, I think they added a few. Anyhow, we took 60 ships, transport. We had seemed like 6 tankers, and the rest of them, most of them was them big old Liberty ships, you know. They had men and stores and all that, nearly a full army. We took them to Leyte Harbor in the Philippines, and they replaced MacArthur's bunch down on Luzon.
in the Philippines, yeah.
Yeah. But see, we stopped there in Leyte Harbor, and we never did get down to the fighting, you know. We didn't, they let it ride us around it and all that, you know. Our job was to get them supplies to them other guys. So them guys are the ones can use them. Y'all got to get them there.
Right.
How you do it, you know.
Yeah.
Of course, the old Commodore, he, usually they had a Commodore aboard the troop ships too, you know, the Liberty ships.
Sure. Yeah. Well, the Army can't fight without the supplies, so that's very important. Were you with that convoy that was going to Europe?
Do I?
Were you with the convoy that was going to Europe?
No, I never was anywhere around Europe. All mine was, I went from San Diego right straight to the South Pacific, and that's where I stayed.
Yeah.
Till the war was over, and they sent the ship back to the States. I stayed there all that time, 15 and a half months.
Right. What were when you were you're escorting you're on the destroyer escort, you're providing security for these supply ships. What were the main threats? Were they submarines? Were they Japanese kamikazes? What were the main threats out there at that time?
Well, all of them.
Yeah.
At that time, the Japanese had started using that 2-man sub, they called it. 2 men operated those submarines, and they disassembled airplanes and put them on them subs and was taking them up on the East Coast, up around Oregon or somewhere up there, building a Air Force base up there, and then they'd reassemble them, see them subs, take them up there.
Yeah.
But those little old subs, those 2-man subs, they could only make 11 knots submerged, see. So they set them convoys at 15 knots, which is about 17 miles an hour or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Did your ship ever come across any Japanese submarines or kamikazes or Japanese planes? Did you have any of those kinds of confrontations?
Well, yeah, we got attacked at Yap with 5 planes.
At Yap?
Yeah, we got all of them.
Yeah. You had 5 planes attack a convoy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hell, they didn't have hardly any planes. Little airport there at Yap was an island, you know. Yap, they had a little airport and didn't have 5 planes on it. They usually come in there. There's a story, really it's comical. They had them 5-inch guns, you know, and they had 20 millimeters all up and down through there. They had 20 millimeters all around there, and them 5-inch gun was in the middle of the ship, you know. Sit.
Yeah.
Yeah, over in the middle. And them 20 millimeters on there, and one of the planes come in right on the water, you know, right up the fantail of our ship. And they cut loose on that 5-inch guns, and a big old 6-foot 4-inch ship's carpenter was on one of them 20 millimeter down there, and the cushion that tore his clothes off. He didn't hear. He couldn't hear for about 2 months. Knocked him down, you know. Oh, it hurt him, that concussion did. They shouldn't have shot it that low, you know. They should have let them 40s and 20s take care of it.
Yeah.
Well, but anyhow, he got all right, and then but that really is comical. That old sucker down there, and his old clothes were stripped and his strips, you know, hanging off of him.
Were the 5 planes, were they able to do much damage, or did they get shot down?
What?
Did the 5 Japanese planes do much damage, or did they get shot down pretty?
Oh, they didn't do no damage to us. We got them off where they got it. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 planes against the convoys.
Like that. When they start in the attack, usually they're 20 or 30 miles out, and most time they're pretty high, you know. But they didn't. The ones up high, they didn't get us. Didn't do no damage at all to it.
What was your job on the ship?
Making water.
Taking seawater and making it fresh water?
Yep. Boiling seawater and making it into fresh water. Our ship was powered by steam, and we had to make the water that the boilers used to make the steam, and then for our ship's tanks to our use, you know.
Yeah.
There's 5 of us. I was top dog at that time.
So you were a 3rd-class petty officer?
Sir?
You were a 3rd-class petty officer, or what?
No, I never would take it. I never would take but one test for rate increase.
Oh, okay.
Supposed to take it every 6 months, you know.
Yeah.
But I liked the job I had, and we hit port. They wouldn't let us make water in port, you know. It's too nasty. So the oil king, he had to keep the fuel and water and all that pumped right in them tanks so the ship was set level, see.
Yeah.
So we'd make it up to the oil king. He'd call the water barge and take the water on this. We stayed over on the beach on Liberty all the time. That's the reason we didn't want to change jobs, see. Yeah. Certain days, certain time, literally at 8 o'clock in the morning, they'd muster everybody, you know, when we was in port.
Yeah.
Well, if somebody let us know the night before, you know, some of them be on Liberty, and they're gonna muster in the morning now. Well, we'd be there at 8 o'clock, seeing muster, go right back.
Yeah.
Right back on the beach, boy.
So what ports did you visit when you were in the Pacific? You mentioned Hawaii. What are some
what now?
visited?
What now? I didn't catch the first one.
What were the ports that you visited when you were in the Pacific? What ports did your ship go into?
Well, let's see. We, of course, we started at Honolulu.
Yeah.
Guadalcanal, we stopped there. Of course, the fighting was already over, see, there.
Yeah.
Stopped a while at Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima.
Fighting was over there. I got some airplane props on it. We make rings out of aluminum, you know, and belt buckles and stuff.
Yeah.
Got a whole lot of them aluminum props off of Iwo Jima.
So you found scraps from Japanese planes and then made rings and things.
Yeah, these were planes that were shot down here on Iwo Jima.
When you were in,
and our home port was Guam. We'd sit there till something would happen, you know, and then we'd escorted. We escorted 3 different convoys to Okinawa, 50 ships in each convoy over a period of time, see.
Yeah.
One of them, we went through a typhoon getting it there.
Wow.
We left it.
Yeah. Wow.
We run out of fuel on them 50-foot waves. You can't get close enough to a tanker to refuel. So our old Commodore told one on the other deal, said, "You've had it." Said, "We got to go in and get some fuel." So we left them. Of course, all the escorts didn't, you know. But all of them got in. We never did lose a ship and all that escort.
Wow.
And I believe it was a little over 60,000 miles that I traveled on that. Now, you got to think, that's 15 miles an hour, so they didn't let us sit still very long.
Right. You're out in the water a lot. When you were in Pearl Harbor, did you see the damage from the attack? When you visited Pearl Harbor, could you still see some of the damage?
We wasn't there that long. We was only there I guess 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we went out on Waikiki Beach is where we went out. They had a nightclub out there, and
Yeah.
we went out there to do that. See,
Sure. Yeah.
wasn't no big building. The only big building they had in Honolulu at that time was the hill. Anyhow, big hotel. The Navy had the headquarters in it, and it was painted pink. Remember that? Yeah.
Painted pink.
That odd, boy. That one big old building, and it was painted pink.
Yeah, that's strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you remember about VJ Day? Do you remember where you were?
VJ Day?
VJ Day.
Yeah.
Over Japan Day.
We had taken a convoy to Okinawa, and we were halfway back to Guam, going back to Guam. They wait on another one. 8 o'clock in the morning, we got the news. Japan surrendered to, I believe, Fort Old Battleship, Missouri. Yeah, yelling and hollering and all that stuff. That old ship I told you before was powered by steam, you know. We had a whistle out on the smokestack outside it, blown by steam. I went up there and took a piece of wire and tied that old handle down and let her blow all day. Turned it off when we took the flag down that evening, sundown, you know.
Wow.
Always took the flag down at sundown.
Surrendering or celebrating the end of the war.
We stayed there a while, after that a while too, you know. We didn't come home right then.
Right. Yeah.
We take 35, 40 Marines down some of them islands, you know, and they'd make them pick up everything they could pick up pertaining to ammunition, food, any supplies, any kind of supplies.
Right.
Put it on a barge, and we'd pull that barge out to deep water and shoot hold it and sink it.
Yeah.
That's where it was. Yeah. Closest I got to Japan was Chichijima. That was where President Bush got shot down when the fighting was going on. We took 35 Marines up there to, like I say, make the Japs load them barges and all that stuff. They had always hollering about having a hard time taking Iwo Jima, you know.
Yeah.
And it would have taken them years to ever take that Chichijima. They had them tunnels back in there. They had tunnels every so often. They had a trench dug across it, you know, that you could step across, but it was so deep as to catch that any diesel fuel or anything that they poured in the front of it, you know, catch it. And they had it go that way and then make a turn, then a turn, so we couldn't bullet enough to ricochet back to them. Food, I bet you they had enough food in there to do them 2 years.
And what is the name of this place?
Chichijima.
So yeah, I haven't heard of that. And this
is, and you know, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I forget what I was reading now, reading something anyhow, and it had an article in there about Chichijima, and they say that's the best place to live in the South Pacific. Now they have put factories on that sucker, you know, and a lot of industry. Say it's really a good place to live over there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you say this is the area where President Bush Sr. was shot down.
Right. Yeah, he was shot down when when the fighting was going on that island, you know. Of course, you know, he was in the Air Force. So
sure.
He got shot down.
What are your memories of coming back home?
Oh, I don't know. I guess I was still a little bit wild then, or ornery, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Where did you go back to San Francisco? Where did you return to the States?
Back into San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah.
When did you get back?
Sir?
When did you get back to San Diego? Was it 46 or later in 45?
It's in 46.
Okay.
First part of 46.
Yeah. So by that time, celebrations in the States had settled down.
I didn't hear you. That car was going on.
Yeah. By the time you got back to the States, celebrations had kind of settled down.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was all settled down before we ever got back.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't even have a man meet us at the dock when he come in.
Yeah. Is that right?
No. we didn't stay there in San Diego very long. They moved us down to Long Beach. You know, they had that pier,
Right.
carnival on the pier there at Long Beach. We was anchored right off out there a little way.
Wow.
We had to sneak over to the carnival at night.
Yeah. How much longer did you serve in the Navy?
Sir?
How much longer did you stay in the Navy after?
Oh, as soon as I could get out, I got out. I believe I got out in March.
Of 46.
But yeah.
Wow.
Because
Okay.
I worked for a CB that I met over there. He had he built buildings there in California and Compton, and I worked for him for a while.
Okay.
And then I went up Terre Haute, Indiana, and see one of my old buddies a little while and went on home. Then I started school in the fall of 46, finished high school.
Finished high school after serving in the Navy in World War II.
Yeah, went back.
Wow.
There's 17 of us that year went back and finished high school. Funny, what part of it was, see, they pay us $50 a month, $52 a month to go over and fight the Japanese. We come back and they paid us $90 to go to school.
Was that the
$90.
GI Bill?
That sounds strange, don't it?
Yeah. Was that the GI Bill?
Yeah, it was a GI Bill, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And then I messed around, went back to Houston, Texas, and got a job down there. And I went 1 year to University of Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah, got married, got in a mess, went to college. Shouldn't have done that, but I did.
Yeah.
Then I messed around and got my own business.
You did. What kind of business was it?
Machinist.
Yeah.
I made oil field parts for oil field.
Yeah.
I made them for 27 years.
Wow. So you're eager to get out of the Navy, but are you, as you look back, are you glad you served in the Navy during World War II?
Well, yeah, it was a job to be done. You know, somebody had to do it. Why not put my little effort in? I didn't think I didn't do anything really outstanding that I know of. You know, you have several jobs, you know, in the Navy. Man, I had like I say, my main job was making fresh water. My battle station job was on a 20 millimeter. I was talker on a 20. You got 3-man crew on a 20 millimeter. You got a talker, you got a gunner, and you got a loader.
Yeah.
They said that they give you a test of each being attacked, you know. This is a test to see what you, they said I gave description of that island being attacked better than the other. That's the reason I got the phones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the reason I got the phones, see.
So you were the
first job I had running one aboard there was first loader on a 40 millimeter. You had a clip, you know, it's got about 5 or 6 rounds in it. And you put that down in that with hand on that 40 millimeter. Don't explode. You got to reach in there and get that sucker and throw it over the side. I can just feel my own hand blowing off every time I had to reach in there and get it done.
Oh, man.
I was glad to get rid of that.
Yeah.
But anyhow, that was, see, the water, the battle station had a special sea detail, like you know, emergency run or something. I operated the burners down on the border. I operated the burners there.
Yeah.
And let's see. I had another job. What in the world was it? Anyhow, you got about 4 or 5 jobs, you know, in the Navy. You don't do just one thing at one time. That main job, as long as you're not under attack, anything like that, the way we had it fixed, there was 5 guys. See, we did a 4-hour watch, and then we was all paid.
Yeah. So 4 on, 8 off. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That was just ordinary sailing, you know, and everything going good.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Hi, how you ladies?
Good.
Well, glad to see you again.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Wyatt, I really appreciate you taking the time to share these memories with us. Thank you very much.
All right.